Hello everyone, and welcome to 4Panel, the Geek Show's dedicated comics and manga podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and as per usual, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Mick.
Hello!
And Rob.
Hello!
So, how are we both doing today?
Well, I'm slightly disappointed that it's a little bit of a cloudy day, because I was hoping to do a whole load of outdoor... Oh, no, wait. No, I wasn't. I'm no longer allowed to do outdoorsy things, am I?
No. Man, these episodes are going to be a weird time capsule at some point, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. I can just imagine.
Day 247 in lockdown.
Yeah, remember that time when the whole world was grounded?
Andrew and Mick have talked Rob out of eating more candles. We'll need them for the power cuts.
Oh, God. If this lockdown goes on, there will be power cuts, won't they?
Yeah, I'll love it. It'll be like being back in the 70s again. I can wear flares.
So, yeah, Andrew, you've got a lot to look forward to.
I mean, it sounds like I don't. And I've already eaten all my cream eggs, so I'm not optimistic. Because do you know, guys, that you can eat a cream egg, and then you can just eat another cream egg afterwards?
You see, I can't because my teeth start itching the minute the wrapper comes off a cream egg.
See, I can't handle it. I can manage like half a cream egg, and then it all just goes to pot, because cream eggs are like mangoes. There's no real gentlemanly way to eat a cream egg or a mango. Your options are go on a date or eat a cream egg or a mango.
Right, so here's my crucial, as the old man of the group.
Yeah.
Here's my crucial bit of wisdom. There is one perfect way to eat a cream egg. You take it from wherever you store it.
Yeah.
You look at it, and you hand it to the child it was designed for, and then walk away.
I mean, I'm a child relative to this podcast.
Sorry, that's a very good point, Mick. Really, though, there is no cool way to eat a cream egg, is there?
Which is why you stop eating them when you're children.
Or you just unhinge your lower jaw like a snake and eat it all in one go. It's pretty simple.
What's that bulge in your neck? It's the cream egg I'm still swallowing.
Or pretend you're scrambling it and put it in the microwave to soften it, and then eat it with a spoon.
Just eat the cream egg soup afterwards. Anyway, enough of the cream eggs. We got comics to talk about.
Yes, and once again, the preamble delves into territory so bizarre. These comics will seem relatively benign by comparison.
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, you say that.
Oh, dear.
One of mine features Bullseye riding on a Pegasus.
Yeah,
I know which one that is.
I don't, but I do have one that features Black Widow, and
And I've got one that's called Weird and is written by Kurt Piers with art by Antonio Fuso. Surprise, we're already in the review.
Whoa! That was such a smooth segue. It was like Cadbury's cream egg on toast.
So, this book is described as a gritty and cerebral fantasy thriller starring a suicidal hero who just can't die. And yes, it certainly does star a suicidal hero who just can't die. What I'm saying is, I didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
It's just, do you know when you start something and literally within the first few pages, you know you're just going to hate it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was one of those books for me, because it's just the most over-the-top, like, ham-fisted attempt at writing a kind of gritty and edgy John Constantine-esque protagonist. I was going to say hero, but more just protagonist, who, he's the best at investigating occult crimes. And
apart from the aforementioned John Constantine, obviously.
Yeah, Piotr Weird is no John Constantine.
Hang on, his name's what?
Piotr Weird.
Is that the Russian Peter, or are you saying Piet all?
No, the Russian form of Peter.
Okay, right.
But also it's weird, like WYRD.
Oh,
So it's like the word weird, but also a last name, but also not a last name because it just doesn't look like a person's name. Like it's obviously they're trying to do one of those things where it's like how Ghost Rider is a man named Johnny Blaze.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to give him like a cult sounding name, but it's too made up.
Well, Johnny Blaze, I'd say, was a good name for a stunt rider.
Yeah. But anyway, that's also like, that's the minor complaint.
Hmm.
The major complaint is just the eye-rolling attempts at, this character's so edgy because he only ever works. He's a mercenary. He'll do whatever the job is if the price is right. But also he's so very sad because he's immortal and he wants to kill himself. And he's going to like sit at home and drink a thing of whiskey and then shoot himself in the head, but then get better. He's like Wolverine, but more hardcore.
Wow.
yeah.
I was going to make the Wolverine comparison where you said he's the best at what he does.
Yes, that was very deliberate. But yeah, the thing about Peter Weird is he's a bit of a dick and I don't care about him.
That's never a good sign in a comic book.
No, it certainly isn't. Unlike, say, John Constantine, who is a lot of a dick, and I like him a lot.
Yeah, but John Constantine knows that he's being a dick. I think it's because he's a Scouser and he's been around for a while. He's like, look, I know I'm rubbing you up the wrong way. I don't care.
That's how I roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also... John Constantine is a really great character and one of my favourites. But he's not cool.
Yes.
Like, there are no characters for him. I go, God, John Constantine, you're such a badass. I wish I was like you.
Yeah, he doesn't have a fan club or anything like that. He's just, and he doesn't really have friends. He just has people who tolerate him.
He's just got people who haven't quite forgotten how much he pissed them off the last time.
I mean, or it's more that, well, we have to stick with him because he still owes us about 20 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that as well. Or they owe him a favour, which is always a bad thing.
Or they need to stick with him because he does know where the bodies are buried, and we do need to get them back and alive again.
Yeah. I mean, in Crisis on Infinite Earths, when he turns up in Lucifer's on Earth 666 and sees Lucifer,
yeah.
I thought that was a great kind of encapsulation of everything that is John Constantine. The fact that he can walk up to the devil and say, "You owe me."
I'm hoping that there's more of that crossover in the next series of Lucifer.
Yeah.
Is there a next series of Lucifer? I thought that show was finished.
No, season 5 is due out any time, and it will be split into 2 halves. They're just finishing post-production on it.
Anyway, no, I can do this. I can stay on topic on weird. It's just quite boring.
I mean, you did give us the impression that you weren't that bothered about staying on topic with it.
That's also true. I was going to say for the sake of professionalism, but it's late in the game to start caring about that, isn't it?
And also, who are you trying to kid? We've done this podcast with you for a while now.
I know. Anyway, yeah, it's just lots of it comes across as being like very sort of like it was a comic strip, even though I don't think it was. Like the story seems to move along every few pages. So like he'll go to Siberia and fight an evil Captain America guy, and then he's dead. Okay, moving on. And it's just nothing seems to like have the time needed to develop it. Also, there's a whole issue where like he fights a corrupt politician who made a deal with some Satanists by having naughty time with a pig. And also this character's name is D, and then it's like redacted Cameron. Which is, come on now, Weird. You came out in the year 2019. I think you've maybe missed the boat on the David Cameron had sex with a pig jokes.
Yeah.
It's a shame, because all that being said, I really like the art in this. Antonio Fuso, he's does some very slick action sequences. There's a nice kind of minimalist color palette. and that like works really well with really striking visuals. Like there's one bit where Weird goes into some like weird Steve Ditko-esque cosmic realm, which is just a really good page. But it's just, it almost feels like it's wasted on just a fundamentally uninteresting comic.
Wow. I'm not sure how to follow that.
I mean, I guess the only way to is we just spend the rest of the show making fart noises now.
What, again?
No, you're getting mixed up with just the normal sound of us talking, Mick.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
It's a hard distinction to make sometimes.
Okay. So, my first one is Jane Foster, Valkyrie, the sacred and the profane. Now, I want to ask a question. What is it about Jane Foster that means that Marvel just keep giving her new stuff to do?
Well, the last time I looked, she was dying of cancer and then got...
Oh, no, she's over that.
What? I think the term is in a remission, Mick.
No, she's so over it. She's working as a doctor and everything. And, you know, she's already been Thor. Not satisfied with being Thor's girlfriend, she had to go one better and become Thor.
Is she 5 now?
Yeah. No, but her new name begins with a 5. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Hey?
I got it.
Maybe that's it. Maybe she's just like working
away through. She's at.
Oh God! When she gets to 10, she's gonna be fighting Wolverine. Gonna be fighting Wolverine. I'm 10. No, I'm 10. No, I'm 10.
So, this story is a bit of a weird one, really. The other thing is, they can't find too many things for it because the start of each issue will just get longer and longer and longer until it's just a page of text. Because it starts off with, "My name is Jane Foster. I'm a doctor. I'm a cancer survivor. I was Thor for a little while." You know that bit that gets really repetitive in Lord of the Rings where Aragorn keeps introducing himself?
Yeah, I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn.
Son of Arathorn, heir to the throne of Isildur. It's a bit like that. Anyway, and it even grows within the pages of this trade paperback. So, basically, she's now working in the hospital as a doctor, but because she keeps doing sort of stuff and disappearing and being late because she's doing Thor-y stuff.
Well, Valkyrie type stuff now.
And Valkyrie type stuff. She gets busted down to mortuary assistant. And so now she's Valkyrie. And it kind of doesn't really hold together much as much of a plot other than let's give Jane Foster something new to do. She's being Valkyrie and she's sort of ferrying the souls of the dead. And then there's this weird sort of...
But is it weird with a Y?
No, it's just weird. But there's this whole plot involving Bullseye and the Grim Reaper and what's the devil guy called? Mephistopheles? Mr. Mephisto?
Yep, Mephisto.
Yeah. There's a guest appearance by Doctor. It's another one of those, let's do a story that doesn't actually really go anywhere and we'll just use it to have a lot of random cameos and then at the end, Jane Foster can say, "I am Valkyrie," and ride off on. There is a new breakout character, and I'm afraid, in terms of equine characters, Beta Ray Bill has got a run for his money now.
Okay.
Because Valkyrie has a new steed.
Is his name John?
No.
No, that's a ridiculous name, Rob.
What, John Steed?
Yeah, that's the kind of name that them fancy steeds up in Asgard have.
Yeah. You what?
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining a Pegasus in a bowler hat.
No. Oh, no. This Pegasus is fantastic. It's a Yorkshire horse.
Yeah, whose name is Orse.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's Jane's friend who works at the hospital, who now works. She does some extra work on the side for damage control. Says, damage control could stable him for you, for Valkyrie, I mean. And the horse steps in and goes, "Stable? I'm needed here, lass. Where the action is. I'm a working horse, I am. A day's work for a day's pay, or a day's hay. I'm good for near stock, me. I weren't made to laze about it, stables. So it just lives in Jane's apartment.
Oh, that's gonna smell.
Yes, that is commented upon. But yeah, so that's the start of this comic. It's written by Al Ewan and Jason Aaron. The art's by Cafu, Perez, Tomey, and Fraser Irving. It collects together Valkyrie, Jane Foster, number 1 to 5, and some material from the War of the Realms Omega. And it's, there's some fun parts in it. You can't unsee Bullseye riding a Pegasus. But for me, it lacks any real substance. So the artwork's nice enough. There's some good set pieces in there. The horse is the star of the show. And unfortunately isn't in it as much as Jane Foster and her friend.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I enjoy that series a lot. I thought it was very fun.
Yeah.
But then I guess I also am more invested in Thor stuff than you are.
I haven't actually read it yet, so I've been meaning to, but I haven't got around to it yet.
Well, like I say, it's a fun romp. It's one of those stories where, find someone else to be Valkyrie. Give it a new story. Don't keep picking up Jane Foster and doing something new with her. I just don't feel she warrants that level of investment.
I'll be honest, with Jane Foster being Thor, and with the whole idea that every time she became Thor, she took one step closer to death, I liked that particular aspect of it because it put a time limit on her time as Thor. And I thought, okay, right, she's done her time as Thor. Why not just let her go? And then you've got that heroic remembrance of, okay, she gave everything, yada, yada, yada. People don't like heroes who keep coming back. That's why they always say the hero dies at the end.
Yeah, and this is it for me. Because I started getting back into comics around the time that she first picked up the hammer and became Thor.
Yeah.
And there was I think True Believers did a sequence of new female-centric comics that year. There was a Princess Leia, there was a Black Widow, and in there was Lady Thor.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's an interesting twist. That'll work quite well. But I didn't expect, once she relinquished being Thor, that we were going to carry on seeing the same old stories about giving Jane Foster something new to do.
Weirdly enough, the female versions of male characters is something that the Japanese tried their hands at with horrifying results. Do not, I repeat, look for them.
Okay.
So is it me now?
Yeah, it is.
Right, okay. Sorry?
No, almost got something. Joke lady manga character that would be bad as lady. I'll fix it in post.
I was going to say, that's definitely staying in. That is definitely staying in. Right, okay, so I'm going to start off with...
Lady Astro Boy, is that anything?
No, but,
Okay, it's okay, I'll keep workshopping, you go ahead.
Right, so I'm starting off with The Web of Black Widow.
I think you run a risk of lady manga being a subgenre.
No, I think that already exists. Anyway, I've got The Web of Black Widow, which is collecting the Web of Black Widow 1 to 5, which is written by Jody Hauser with art by Stephen Mooney, colours by Triana Farrell, letters by VC's Corey Petty, and cover by Junghyun Yoon. The cover is, it's got some great art on there with Black Widow holding her head, and you've got various characters who look like these, you've got various Avengers, Marvel characters around her, who look like they're just made of blood, and it looks interesting, and it bodes well for the inside, but then you get inside and you see the artwork by Stephen Mooney, and I look at it, and everybody kind of looks like old Madonna. All of the female characters look like old Madonna.
When you say old Madonna, do you mean Madonna as she is now?
Yes.
All right.
or Madonna as she will be in like 10, 20, 30 years. I'm looking at this and going, oh, wow. Natasha, you've grown old. You look like old Madonna. Every single panel, every single time I look at it, she looks like old Madonna. And she's basically doing her usual thing of spy. She goes up against Tony and everything like that. And she's having all of these flashbacks to her time in the Red Room against various people and missions that she carried out for various people. And then it goes to the action scenes, which always have Natasha doing these weird ballet poses while she's doing her combat dance type thing. There's this 2-page spread, which I really found hilarious, where in the background it shows her doing her dance fighting, but in the foreground it's her kind of hitting one guy with her fist while blasting another guy with her wrist blasters while sidekicking another guy, all while balanced on one leg. I'm thinking, if Natasha Romanoff was that super tough, she would have kicked Clint's backside any day of the week. There's more going on in this than anyone lets on. Initially, it looks like Natasha's got her own agenda and she's up against various people, and it looks like she's trying to close the book on some of her history. But then you find out that when she goes to visit Yelena, what's her name? Her sister, I think she is. Andrew?
I was paying attention to everything you said, not frantically Googling list of manga characters.
When she goes to visit Yelena Belova. Because in the first issue, she meets Iron Man. In the second issue, she meets Bucky Barnes. In the third issue, she teams up with Yelena Belova, who is kind of her sister, isn't she?
Well, she's just like the other Black Widow, so they're like just one of the other people to come out the Red Room.
Yeah.
Soon to be featured in the hit upcoming ? Film Black Widow. ?
Is it still going to be called Black Widow when it comes out? So anyway, it turns out that she's asked Yelena Belova to join her on this particular infiltration mission because she needs to prove that she isn't the one going around killing the people who she did missions for in her past that she kind of remembers, but for some reason her memory's all broken up and stuff. And they find out that there is somebody who looks exactly like Black Widow, but is wearing one of those high-tech face mask type things, who's going around killing people as Natasha, and so everyone thinks Natasha's the one who's guilty of all of this murder, death, kill stuff, which is where we end up with more of Stephen Mooney's really awful artwork. Oh, wow. Yeah, I can't keep looking at his art. His art is awful. But anyway, she ends up doing stuff the way Natasha does in order to get her memories back, and things aren't always what they seem, and yada, yada, yada. Typical Marvel attempt at trying to do spy noir type storylines, but when you start including superheroes and superpowers and really advanced technology into those stories, they become a lot more difficult to actually kind of gel together.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to have like clever plot reveals where it can just be, we've got machines that do anything.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, one of the reasons why a film like Captain America: The Winter Soldier worked as a spy thriller was because it downplayed the whole advanced technology thing. That became the threat. The advanced technology actually became the threat at the end of it. But a lot of it was more about the characters themselves. And that's what this should have done. This should have tried to focus more on the characters and less on having Natasha encounter people from her past and people from her present and try and gel the two together. If it had Natasha basically as a single character just going through trying to figure out what's going on and literally pushing everyone away, because it turns out that, that becomes Yeah, it looks like she is, but not everything is as it seems.
See, I just see you making this sound like just one of those really great, like, escapist fantasy things. Because, guys, do you remember when you used to go out and meet people from your past and present? I do.
I forgot about that. So yeah, I suppose in terms of the current environment, Black Widow, Web of Black Widow actually works. But in terms of kind of Marvel's environment for Black Widow, I mean, apparently she was dead and she got better. Which is, again, we get back to the whole, why don't you just let them stay dead? You know?
Because then they wouldn't be able to shamelessly cash in on the upcoming movie.
Also, importantly, in this specific case,
Yeah.
if she did stay dead, then I'd have to keep having conversations where people go, "This what happened to Black Widow?" And I'd go, "Oh, she's dead. Oh, what happened?" And then I have to tell them about that one time that Captain America was actually a Hydra mole because of time travel. And then a man vomited up a cosmic cube and Captain America jumped out his own stomach and punched himself in the face.
Yeah. One interesting aspect of this is when it goes on to, at the back, it shows you the different variant covers, right? And some of them are really cool. One of them confused the bejesus out of me because it's the variant cover by Ben Oliver, which has a bunch of guns pointing at Black Widow and Mary Jane, who doesn't appear in the first 5 issues of Black Widow, or Web of Black Widow, at all. There isn't even a mention of her. So I don't know how that variant cover works.
I mean, it's just a variant cover.
I thought the covers had to reflect something about the story inside.
I mean, I was just saying, in terms of criticism, this seems somewhat minor.
No, my main criticism is still Stephen Mooney's art. The rest of it, Jodie House's story, I think maybe I would have appreciated it more if it wasn't for the awful artwork. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the art anymore. It just depresses me when I look at it because it's not clean.
And yet, Rob, what you appear to be doing is talking about the art.
I'm gonna go now. I want to talk about something else, Andrew.
Yep. So I have been reading Black Hammer: Streets of Spiral, which was created by Jeff Lemire, Dean Ormston, Emmy Lennox, Tate Rombell, Dustin Nguyen, Michael Allard, Nate Powell, Matt Kint, Ray Fawkes, David Rubin, Brian Hurt, Wilfredo Torres, Christian Ward, Tyler Cook, Rich Tomeso, Marie Enger, Tony Zonjik, Lucy Sullivan, Sandy Jarrell, Sina Grace, Dave Stewart, Charlene Kint, and Todd Klein. So this is sort of one of those weird collections where it's just a bunch of different bits and bobs.
Okay.
So it's very much one of those, we didn't have a space for this anywhere else, so we're just shoving all these random bits into a single volume. So this is Black Hammer, the giant-sized annual, the Cthulhuese one-shot, the World of Black Hammer Encyclopedia, and the Free Comic Book Day thing from 2019. And yeah, it's all right. The annual itself is fun enough. It's Colonel Weird, who kind of sort of Adam Strange, if he got lost in another dimension and lost his marbles a bit. It's just him doing some weird time travel stuff, which is I guess it works well more sort of as a general introduction to all the characters in Black Hammer. So if you wanted to maybe get someone into it, you could give them that to sort of get them up to speed as to what's going on. Cthulhuese, I'm not sure I was a big fan of. Like, it's got a very weird tonal shift in it. Because it is about a girl named Louise who has a giant octopus head. And it's about her getting, like, bullied at school. And it's drawn in, like, quite a cutesy way that makes you think, oh, she's going to learn an important lesson about not letting bullies get to you and being all right with who you are and something like that. But no, she sacrifices her entire school to an ancient blood god and goes to a dimension where everyone's an octopus person. And like it's a very graphic thing of lots of characters who are children getting horribly murdered by tentacles. And that was a bit of an out of the left field thing that I'm not sure how comfortable I was with. The encyclopedia I liked a lot, though. I think that's probably what makes this volume worth getting in my opinion, because it's a very neat way of kind of collecting all the different characters and concepts in Black Hammer with just nice little bits of artwork. And I do like a nice encyclopedia, especially with something like Black Hammer, where it's got a bit unwieldy as it's gone on and like introduced lots of different elements over various different series. So it's nice to just have something that like collects everything together, tells you who everyone is, and even like has a full timeline of the series and all its backstory. Basically, what I'm saying is, most comics are trying too hard. Just give me some pictures and like a description of who this character is next to them.
I'll be honest, there are plenty of comics that could actually be improved just by doing that.
Maybe some nice diagrams as well.
Diagrams are always good.
But if Marvel did a new series that was just like intricate blueprints of Iron Man armors, I'd probably buy that. Let me pretend like I understand science. Just like back in the good old days where I'd read all the Iron Man comics and go, yes, microtransistors. I, a scientist, know that Iron Man controls his armor through many, many tiny radios.
Oh dear. That's terrible.
Just because you haven't mastered the ability to fly on smooth jazz.
And does that mean if you twist his left nipple, he can get smooth FM?
Definitely.
Oh, this could go horribly, horribly wrong now. Isn't it your turn, Mick?
Yes. Yes, I think it is. So, I've been reading Ironheart, 10 Rings. This is by another Ewing. Eve Ewing, in fact, and art by Luciano Vecchio, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. And it's all right, I guess.
Oof, high praise indeed from Mick.
Well, I think the problem is, and this is reflected in the art style on this, the Ironheart comics are basically written for a sort of tween-age audience.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, that is very much fair.
And so, from that point of view, yeah, it's quite an interesting romp. It does sort of a bit like Valkyrie, but not to the same extent. It does play on some guest appearances. So we have Doctor Strange turn up because there's mystical stuff happening. We've got an impromptu visit to Wakanda, and we team up with Shuri, who's described as sometime Black Panther.
Yeah, just only every other weekend.
Yeah. There's Silhouette turns up, and basically it's all down to this plot to by the 10 Rings to get supreme mastery over the Earth. But when they get to go take down the 10 Rings, there's a character from Riri's past, long believed dead.
Is it a dad?
I'm not going to say, because it'd be a massive spoiler. And so, again, this is where it plays into that whole sort of tween-age audience, because it's that dealing with the separation, with people telling you lies about your past, that kind of stuff. And it's more that kind of sort of Buffy-esque sort of playing with the idea that the bad guys are actually just a sort of portrayal of the turmoil that's going on inside you, and that's what you're fighting against, not the actual villainous bad guys who are setting up zombie attacks and stuff like that. So,
yeah, the real Dracula was my anxieties about prom all along.
I mean, it just sounds like they've played Silent Hill 2 and gone, ooh, that's an interesting way of doing bad guys. Let's do all bad guys like this.
So, I mean, the main bad guy is Silhouette's brother, but because it's almost like the main plot of the 10 Rings is a a MacGuffin to get you to the core of Riri's story. All the sort of members of the Ten Rings that show up are kind of disposable bad guys. Eclipse is probably the one that comes closest to having any kind of substantial storyline, but even then it's not great. And then...
Yeah, I think if these are the guys, I think their thing is just that there are a bunch of people who've got like one of the Mandarin's rings.
Yeah, it's basically, we've found this way of getting some power and we're going to try and exploit it, but actually it's only so we can introduce Riri to this guy. And Riri, Shuri and Silhouette sort of fly around Wakanda being a sort of Wakanda city sirens.
I want to ask, does the Mandarin have an older sister called Clementine?
Oh, dear. I mean, if I could go outside, I imagine I would see Tumbleweed going past the window.
I know, I deserve a smack for that one.
You do. And what we're doing is we're keeping a tally of all these smacks that you earn. So it's going to be a painful day for you the day lockdown is lifted. So that's Ironheart. If you're in that sort of, I would say, early teens to mid-teens age bracket, it's probably really poignant for you. I struggle sometimes to get past the physical impracticalities of having an iron suit that shape.
One thing I've noticed, when Marvel was going through that whole Teenage Heroes thing, they had the teenage versions of a variety of heroes, a variety of famous ones. But I didn't see like a teenage Doctor Strange. I can't remember if there was a teenage Captain America.
I think there's been like vaguely Captain America-esque teen heroes.
Yeah, but I can't remember seeing a teenage Doctor Strange.
It'd probably be called Dr. Totes Weirds, man.
I mean, there's Wiccan, who's basically like teenage Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, yeah, I forgot about Wiccan and his ability to repeat the same thing over and over again until it happens.
I mean, I can do that. Like, if I'm sitting on the train, all I need to do is start repeatedly muttering, find another seat, find another seat, find another seat, and suddenly everyone around me stands up and leaves.
Or if there's something you really want, you can go to your parents and go, can I have that? Can I have that? Can I have that?
You see, I used to try that when I was a kid, and I usually stopped when the smack in the mouth came.
Memories.
I was just asking them for things to stop being in black and white all the time.
That just turned out that my vision was impaired from all the smacks in the mouth.
Right, is it my turn?
I don't know, I've definitely lost track.
Right, going from one teenage hero to another teenage hero, I have Miles Morales. Well, considering his surname is Morales, is his first name actually Miles then, or is it Miles?
I mean, it's definitely Miles.
Okay, what was in the movie is Miles, so I'll go with Miles.
I'm not sure if Miles is a name.
I don't know. I was watching a Graham Norton interview where it had Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. Is it Kevin Hart, the comedian? Yeah.
There is a comedian called Kevin Hart, so yes, it could very well have been.
It had the two of them, and Graham Norton was commenting on how Ice Cube was part Irish, and he's like, I'm not part Irish. He's like, but your name's O'Shea. He's like, and Kevin Hart piped up saying, "Oh, that's just how African American mothers do things. They just see a word that they like and give their child that name."
I mean, yeah, basically the point is, anything can be a name if you want it to be.
Yes. So this collects Miles Morales Spider-Man issues 7 to 10 and material from Free Comic Book Day 2019 Spider-Man/Venom. And it is it's written by Saladin Ahmed with pencils by Ron Akins, inks by Dexter Vines, art for some bits of it by Alithia E. Martinez, and Vanessa Del Rey and Javier Garron as well, and colours by David Curiel and Eric Arengian. And so that's for issue 7. Issue 8 to 10 has other people, which I'm not going to go into. But anyway, this starts off with Miles going to visit his uncle Aaron, who is Prowler, and Miles is happy to see his uncle, and his uncle seems to be on the straight and narrow. He seems to be trying to stay away from the criminal life, and there's this kind of background monologue from Aaron's side about how much he cares about Miles' opinion of him, and the fact that Miles still loves him and still thinks the world of him means a lot to him. And Miles has a new friend who's called, is it Kaboom? She has a bit of a crush on Miles, looks like.
Do you mean Bombshell?
A Bombshell, that's it, yeah. She looks like she has a bit of a crush on Miles. And they take down this robot thing together, which then cuts to Miles' mum in the emergency room dealing with the various things. And then it leads to the fact that Miles is going to be an older brother, which is a big bit of news, which then immediately kind of goes completely left field to Miles being kidnapped and then horribly, horribly experimented and tortured on for a lot of this part of the comic, which, it was quite... some bits of it are a little bit graphic, some bits of it are a little bit gruesome, but not like really horrible. Most of it just kind of is a montage of various things happening to him and various stresses and strains and stuff like that, various scenarios that he gets put through, until his dad and Prowler decide to go and rescue him. And I didn't know this, but his dad seems to be quite good at the old web swinging. Is that a thing?
I guess maybe.
Because his dad's wearing these wrist things where he fires these grappling hooks off and swings across from one building to another and helps his Uncle Aaron fight a bunch of bad guys on that building.
I'm not entirely sure, Miles Morales post being in the main Marvel Universe continuity.
Yeah, and that's where I get confused, because this then goes on to the fact that Miles has to fight the Green Goblin, but has no real memory of the Green Goblin until a bit later, and then you find out that Miles Morales, this guy called Ultimatum turns up, who also has the name Miles Morales, but has scars all over his face and a side parting.
I know what a side parting is.
I don't know what's going on. I'm a bit confused as to what is going on. Where did the second Miles Morales appear from? Why is he best friends with Kingpin, who is now mayor of the city? Lots of questions. Lots and lots of questions. Why does this ultimatum Miles Morales have a Captain America-style shield with an Iron Man-style suit? And why can he grow bigger and smaller?
It's called cosplay, Rob.
Yeah, it could be called that. I don't know. But anyway, apparently the Green Goblin is working for him as well. So everybody seems to be working for him. So this is all going to lead up to something. And the guy who kidnapped Miles Morales, some guy called the Assessor, and decided to run all sorts of experiments on Miles Morales because of some people who are behind it who wanted the results. There's a lot of questions, and I may need to read more to clarify, which I will do. At this point, it's just confusing. Over to you, Andrew.
I knocked my laptop over.
That was foolish.
Did you get frustrated looking for manga characters?
Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna... Do you know that Lady Devilman is a thing?
Yes, I know.
So I can scratch that one off the list. I don't know. Lady, insert your own audio here.
Would you like me to just help you a little bit here, Andrew?
Yes, Rob, autocomplete my joke for me, please.
I'm not going to auto-complete your joke. I'm just going to...
I see a future use of the unbugger button.
I'm not going to complete your joke. I'm just going to help you a bit, Andrew. I'm not going to share this with Mick because, it would blind his eyes. Mick's already elderly. He needs to look after his eyes.
I think I could cope.
Do you really want me to share this with you, Mick?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not sure I want you to share it with me.
Tell you what, I'm not going to share it with you. Just go with the. We'll talk about it afterwards. Do the comic first.
Okay, so to finish things off, this is the last one. We're at the end of the show.
Yeah.
We haven't had a break or anything.
So to finish things up, I've been reading Manor Black, which is written by Cullen Bunn written by Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt, with art by Tyler Crook. So yeah, this one definitely intrigued me. It's set vaguely somewhere down south, and started with a bunch of seemingly unconnected storylines. You have this rich old man who seems to be some kind of warlock living in a big old house. He is getting ready for something called the Descent, in which he must pass on his powers to one of his children, and isn't sure who his heir is going to be. Meanwhile, a bunch of teens are speeding down the highway in a van, involved in some kind of vague ritual, when suddenly they're driven off the road. And the next day, our main protagonist, whose name I should have made name was... No, not Roman, that's the warlock guy. Detectiveson.
What?
Good enough.
Detectives.
Yes, him and Sheriff McSheriff Man are called out to the scene of the accident, where aforementioned teens ran their van off the road, only to find the van and all its inhabitants, maybe all its inhabitants, burnt to a cinder. And in a bit that I really liked, as the sort of panel pulls out, we see the scorch mark form a perfect circle around the van. And yeah, that all kicks off this big plot involving elemental magics and covens of witches and wizards, and a good old-fashioned detective who's in over his head. That's just, it's an intriguing start to a series that I'm quite interested to see where it goes.
Cool.
It's kind of a bit hard to talk about the overarching plot, because this sort of plays it quite close to its chest. The main thing we find out is that Roman, the warlock guy, ends up taking in Ari, who is the one survivor of the van, and helping her track down what turns out to be an elemental fire totem. And she's maybe vaguely part of this. It seems like there's the kind of covens who are each tied to an element, and it's their job to protect that element. But now there's a new group of wizards who've decided that no, magic should just be for whoever can hold on to it, and so are trying to create some chaos. That's cool, because they seem like they're the bad guys, but also maybe they're not, because it does seem ultimately their goals are quite noble. They want to do away with this seeming class system of magic, but also they make people explode with fireballs. And yeah, like I said, not got too much I can say about it for the most part, but again, it's one of those first volumes. This does its job of making me say, well, I'm interested to see where this will go. And just the art is very good and atmospheric as well. It's Tyler Crook, who's done a bunch of BPRD stuff as well, so it makes it almost feel a little bit familiar. I'm very apprehensive about what this horrifying image you have for me.
Don't worry. All I was going to say was...
Wait, no, I've got it, it's okay. Ichi the Lady Killer.
No.
That's it, that's the joke, there we go. We can end the show now.
Yes. So, take it away, Andrew. Let's get out of here.
We can't get out of here. We're not allowed.
Anyway, that's it from us for this week. If you've liked what you've heard, you can find us on thegeekshow.co.uk or wherever you get your podcast apps. And if you want to help us keep doing this thing that we love doing, considering donating to our Patreon, that helps us just keep the lights running and lets us hopefully at some point get back in an actual physical place where we can record in person.
Yes, that would be nice.
It wouldn't be.
Like we used to in the old days.
That's the way before. And of course, if you whatever don't want to or can't donate to us, consider leaving us a like or a review on your podcast app of choice. That helps us get seen and boost our listeners. So I think that's everything. Until next time, I've been Andrew.
I've been Rob.
And I've been Mick.
So long and thanks for listening.